Linda Vanzi is masterful at everything she does, which can be slightly frustrating, but also amazing. Like when she was serving on the district court, she was working so hard and she was always like, I'm gonna do pottery. And I was like, yeah, whatever, we all say that. I wanna do all these brilliant things. Well, of course, then she took a class and she took like 2 classes and she's like, boom. And she's like, beautiful stuff, incredible things. Anything she does, she kind of does masterfully. How do you not know Linda Vanzi? Linda and I met decades ago at the New Mexico Women's Foundation with Diane Wood. I don't know if you're old enough to remember her. She was our very own Texan. And we were doing grants reviews and Diane comes in with this like stack of paper, plunk. And Linda and me and a whole bunch of other people read through every single one of them, and that was the beginning.
My name is Sarah Shore, and I clerked for Judge Vanzi beginning in the fall of 2019 until her retirement.
I'm Adam Flores. I clerked for Judge Vanzi from 2014 to 2016.
She's one of my very best people in all the world, and we have done a million things together over decades, and I think one of my favorite things about her is how flexible she is. No matter when you think you know Linda Vanzi, there's something else that pops up.
My favorite thing about clerking with Judge Vanzi was that she really invited collaboration, and she put such good thinking into every case and encouraged us to take the time that we needed on every case to do the research, read the briefs, and just make the decision and the path through the decision as good as we could make it. And that's just a lovely work environment to be in.
Linda Vanzi's sense of truth is really one of the purest I've ever known. And she's very complicated. Everybody who knows her knows that. I'm not like, oh, she's simple and easy. And she really believes in everybody having a shot. And she really believes in a kind of democratic approach to things. She'll fight just as hard for somebody who's a nobody and is never going to thank her as for somebody who will give her access to power. It means everything to her. She's a really critical thinker. She loves to think about context as well as the long-term stuff. She'll always be talking about, I want to think about this law or this opinion and what it's going to be 5 years from now and 50 years from now. And I always thought that was brilliant.
My favorite thing about clerking for Judge Vanzi was her mentorship and learning from her. She would take me to lunch at Padilla's and talk to me about my career, and she really sort of steered me away from some bad ideas, and I got to learn a lot about hard work and just learning from a great legal mind. That, I really respected Judge Vanzi for that.
She immigrated from Pakistan. Her mom and her brother fled Pakistan in the middle of the night, kind of a classic, intense story. She lived in Hong Kong and Singapore for years. She didn't become a naturalized citizen in the United States until she was out of high school. And she always said that she loved the rule of law because she was raised in a country that didn't have it. And she remembers stuff going on in Pakistan that was missing the rule of law, for sure. And so I think that's been really influential in her. And in some ways, I think it's very beautiful. Immigrants can help us see ourselves and see our strengths in really beautiful ways. And Linda always would speak to the strength of our judicial system and how impressed she was by it and how proud she was to be a part of it.
But she's also fascinated with people. Like, she really enjoys people. And so I loved talking with Judge Vanzi about food and gardens and art and poetry and music. We would go for walks. It was just such an enjoyable interpersonal experience.
Linda Vanzi is very sassy. We went to the Grand Canyon one time when we hiked all the way in, stayed down there all the way out, and I don't know if you know this about her, but she's an insane athlete. Like, you don't expect it because she's like as big as a finger, but you go on a hike with her and she eats like a jelly bean and a cracker, and then she like hikes 10 miles. It's crazy. So at the Grand Canyon, we're hiking out and we're with this friend of mine who's a triathlete, and my brother who's a big basketball jock, and Linda smokes us all the way to the top, like in an hour or something. And what does she do? She turns around and she comes back down, just to be sassy with us. How's your walk going? I've already been to the top. This is the temperature at the top. So yeah, sassy and athletic.
She has like a weird way of remembering everybody's birthdays, and I don't know how, but she she knows my birthday. I'm sure she probably knows my family members' birthdays, and I think it's part of she just cares about us, and she's heard so much about me and my family that she just knows. But I always feel bad because I can't even remember my mom's birthday, but Judge Vanzi knows everybody's birthday.
She so loves young people and people who are starting their law career, and I know that lots of people are like, I mentor people, but Linda's joy in young people and her joy in mentoring them is so inspiring. And once she is on your side, she is like the most loyal, and I'm saying that after 30 years of ups and downs. She is so loyal, and she's such a great mentor, and I've seen her wholeheartedly engage so many people in this community. And when you're a young nobody and a judge hands you a card and says, call me anytime, and means it, it matters. It matters. So I think her mentorship has been really important to the community. She's given people a sense of access to our judiciary and our systems and our schools, and that's really essential.
One sweet thing about Judge Vanzi that I remember from the clerkship is whenever there was a dog around, Judge Vanzi will be on the floor with the dog because she loves dogs so much. And it was so sweet to find, there were a couple of times that there was a puppy around, and I went in to talk to her about something, and she was on the floor of her office with a puppy.
She's always got somebody that's just like, I met this great new law student, Michael. He's from, Hurley, New Mexico. He's going to be brilliant. And then 5 years later, she's like, oh, I'm having burritos with Michael. Like, they're still in her life. Super sweet.
Professionalism was very important to her, both with the advocates in the Court of Appeals and then with her colleagues as well. Respect for the other clerks. I felt any clerk could just go in and talk to her. She's welcoming to people who want to ask legal questions or talk about a case.
I think that the UNM School of Law means everything to Linda. I think when you come to this country as an immigrant and you're a late, she wasn't 18 when she went to law school. I think it was kind of an audacious dream for this woman in Taos to think, I'm going to be a lawyer and a judge. And the UNM Law School is where she was able to find that. And there were professors here that saw her brilliance and cultivated it. They stayed in touch with her. They supported her career. The community, Phil Davis and other lawyers have mentored her. I think the law school means everything to her, and that's why she continues to come back. And she teaches, and she always is mentoring law students. She's been very intentional about trying to hire almost all of her clerks from the UNM School of Law, which not everybody does. Yeah, I think UNM School of Law is lucky to have her. She's lucky to have them, and I think Linda Vanzi should be the mascot.
She's just done a lot for civil rights in New Mexico, and so it might be, my bias as a civil rights attorney, but I think just the people in New Mexico should be proud of her and that she deserves this award for everything that she's done for civil rights as a lawyer and as a judge, and now she teaches civil rights, Section 1983 to law students. She's dissented from her colleagues in important civil rights cases, which, at the Court of Appeals, there are panels of 3, so when you dissent, you do that alone. So it's a courageous act, and I think just from that alone, she deserves this award.
I think she's out there making friends, connecting with people. She can talk to anybody. I have been in a million different settings with her, and she can sit down with me. I've worked in decarceration work. She can sit down with a felon and end up talking about the law with somebody who has no understanding about the law, but whose life has been derailed and they've been incarcerated. Like, think about the distance, the polarities there. And Vanzi Pants can sit down and talk to that person about law.
And one of the things I realized clerking for her is that she mentors everyone. Every day she was going on a walk with someone else that she was mentoring or supporting in many cases. And I think she's a living example of the reality that if you give generously of your gifts, you find that you have more, because she seems to always have more.
Linda really deserves this honor and this recognition for a million reasons. Certainly for being a hard worker. Linda Vanzi has so much hustle. She gets more done by 7 a.m. than the rest of us do all week. And I am not joking, she is on nonprofits boards, she works hard at her legal practice. When she was on the judiciary, she was handling a huge caseload, but also always educating herself, always putting herself out there to be smarter, to understand more, and not just reading legal things, but trying to understand social movements, trying to understand how power is shifting in the country, trying to understand demographics, how this Constitution can serve everybody, like hustle, hustle, hustle. Has worked hard for decades and apparently is going to continue to work hard for decades. I see no slowing.
Judge, I am so honored that you chose me out of all the people to speak, especially here with Sarah, with your former clerk. And I'm very honored to be selected to speak for you.
And I feel the same way, Judge. I was so moved that you would ask me to say some words about you. And it is an absolute privilege to sit here today.
Congrats, Judge. Enjoy your night.
Huge congratulations.
Congratulations, Linda. I am, as always, so proud of you. And was nervous about doing this, but now I could talk for hours about all the reasons you deserve this award. And I love you very much.